This is the Miss Peggy's Cove. This is right behind my previous shot. Some of the homes in Peggy's Cove. These wildflowers. Tom likes all the local colorful houses. This is a bread and breakfast, Peggy's Cove bread and breakfast. And Tom's up here on the hill filming.
This is the Bay of Fundy from Digby, and it is sunset. In fact, it is after sunset.
Here's a typical storefront. It's a bookstore and cafe. Again, we love the colors things are painted. Okay, this is what Tom had to do in near Digby to upload his pictures. The only outlet we could find was in the bathroom, so he's sitting on the toilet holding his PC, which can't be plugged in, and then he's got his jazz drive connected.
Mr. Techno Marvel at work, folks. No restroom is safe.
Yeah, he wouldn't let me go to the bathroom because he had it all set up.
That's because this is the only three-prong outlet in our deluxe super duper hotel, Nancy Pickett. This is a panorama shot of Mahoney Bay.
This is the Inlet Cafe where we had our really fantastic lobster sandwich, and Tommy had shrimp sauteed in garlic that were huge shrimp. It was really, really tasty. And it overlooks that beautiful scenic view that Tommy is taking right now of Mahoney Bay.
Fortress, the main bunker house at Annapolis.
The bust of the man who first founded the settlement in 1604.
This is a panorama of the parapet that had to be crossed in any successful attack on this fortress at Annapolis. This is looking out from Port Royal, the former capital of Nova Scotia, a site of numerous struggles between French and English for dominance of North America. Guns pointed seaward to repel the French. And the French came and were repelled by the guns of the Englishmen.
Museum. This is the way the people dressed. Isn't it beautiful? We are now at Port Royal, which is a historic reconstruction of the way the settlers lived back in the 1600s.
First of all, I'd like to welcome you here to Port Royal. And what you see here is a reproduction of a French fur trading post that was built back in 1605. It lasted 8 years to 1613, and then it was destroyed by an English raiding party from Jamestown, Virginia. The French that were left here with just the clothes on their backs were taken in by the Mi'kmaq, the native people, and they kept them all winter until the supply ship came in the spring, and then they went back to France. There were never any soldiers here. These were civilians, 35 to 40 men, and the main reason they were here was to get those beaver pelts so they could take these back to France to make those fancy felt hats. And this construction took place in 1939 and 40, and it's thanks to a lady from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Harriet Tabor Richardson was her name. There is a nice plaque down by the water dedicated to her. And she thought since the English were the ones who destroyed this, they should put something into getting it rebuilt. So that's carrying guilt over quite a few years. But anyway, thanks to her, she went back to Boston and started an association called Associates of Port Royal. Gathered up some funds totaling $10,000. In 1938, that'd be quite a bit of money. But it got them started. They done the excavation. They found a few rocks of the foundations and the collapsed well that's in the courtyard. After that, Parks Canada took over and done the rebuild. And this is the first reconstruction done by Parks Canada.
This is up on the roof of a barn as we're going into Port Royal. I just thought it was cute. A weather vane on top of the barn.
In this dark night, it's too hard for me to say now if the rays of hope will shine again someday, and if I might be spared as the tempest starts to swell. At this point, it's just too dark to tell. Was the stars guiding me to God's shores now? Was the devil set me drifting once more?
And someone you know here.
These clouds ever lift and the map again reveal.
This is inside the settlement.
Just too dark.
The settlement lasted 8 years before Argyle, British soldier, wiped it out by stealing all their supplies. This is inside the settlement.
If my ears could hear a voice saying, all will be well, then all is well, all is well. I once was found, now
This was the boss's house.
on merciless waves I am tossed.
This was where the head man lived.
I would tell you of his grace and how it was I fell, but some tales are just too dark to tell.
We are standing now in the boss's room in the settlement. The head man of the settlement. This is his room, and as you can see, it's pretty nice. Nice big chest, little study, books. So this is a general bunk room where the men in the settlement slept. The fireplace. You can see the shoes in front of the fireplace there. And over somewhat closer to us, lined up. And then the hides on the cabinet. Another set of bunks. And at the far end of the room here, which I'm walking toward now, another set of bunks. Very, very basic. Lots of hides on the floor. No concern about fur in those days. But otherwise, very basic. Your candlestick holder. And in the darkness, another bunk. We're standing in what appears to be the apothecary shop now, or herbs, soaps, etc. This is a small chapel in the settlement. It's in the tool shop. This is upstairs above the tool shop. You see the people slept on the floor. open windows, very high, well-constructed ceilings.
Cut my pay.
So this is the dining area. You see the huge hearth, the ever-present herbs, and the pewter.
Meant to survive on 10 an hour, wife and a baby, and a man with no power.
So here we're looking into the forge. Over in the corner there, you can see the big bellows. You're looking at the main forge now. I'm going to swing around and you see all the blacksmith's utensils.
And I took it from, I didn't mean to hurt no one.
Okay, we're getting ready to cross into Cape Breton, and this is the road.
To my wife and son, when I go to prison, I didn't mean to hurt no one. Deep in the valley,
This is looking up toward Cape Breton.
where the weeds are overgrown and they burn, and they burn. Cleaned out my desk at work yesterday. I haven't told Caroline, don't know what to say, so I get dressed up. And I drive around, but I'm going nowhere. Down county 2 lanes that lead nowhere, through endless fields of Bermuda grass, just spinning my wheels and wasting gas. It's 2 weeks now since they let me go, still telling lies when I come home. When we go to bed, she reaches for me, I turn my back, pretend that I'm asleep, and I drive around, but I'm going nowhere. Down county 2 lanes that lead nowhere, through endless.
Where I have been taking these pictures is nearly as interesting as the pictures themselves. I am out on a headland off the Cabot Trail in Nova Scotia.
A month gone by now, and I think she knows, 'cause when I get dressed up and ready to go, she fixes me lunch
at the Alexander Graham Bell National Park, which is the home of Alexander Graham Bell. You're looking out on the broad door, the Bay Broad Door, which is right outside our hotel room.
Sometimes I find myself down on Hilton Head, among the mansions where Emily lives. I think about us, 17 years old.
This is the Broad Door. Broad Door. Lakes of Gold. This is the entrance to Fortress Lewisburg. This is Fortress Lewisburg. These were the guest quarters, the main house, and the racks for drying fish. This was very much a fish-sustained colony. This is an overall view of the fortress at Lewisburg. This is the fort as it existed in 1744. Following year, the British took the fort. Interior of the ordnance or guardhouse, right at the entrance to Fortress Lewisburg. Again, this is simply a room where the guards to the entrance slept. You'll see their sleeping places in just a moment as I pan around, and now you see them. Your basic accommodations, complete with the French fleur-de-lis. The harbor at Lewisburg today bears little relationship to what it looked like in 1744. In 1744, you would have seen dozens of ships anchored in the harbor here. Traders, mercantile ships, and men of war. 1744, Fortress Lewisburg. This is the powder magazine. This is the troop barracks. And the British came not by sea, but by land.
This is the artillery forge, military blacksmith shop. This in the 18th century was used by the artillery division. This shop is responsible for the cannons. I do a lot of iron work here, only for the military. I have a civilian that makes 13 leave a month as the master smith here. There's also a forge of armor next to the bakery to repair sword, musket, and bayonet. We, the French, we are forbidden to manufacture here in North America. Everything we use must come from France. They say it is to keep the wheels of economics moving. It is only to, I would never want us to encourage us in colonization. So often we work for supplies. I myself can make anything for the military because the law doesn't actually include the military. The military is the law. But as a common folk, fisherman or townsperson, you could not go visit one of the 6 blacksmiths that were in Louisburg unless there was something you couldn't find through a merchant you absolutely needed. Then they may give you the permission to go visit one of these blacksmiths. That blacksmith, if he makes the market a product, he will find a way to use it in his execution. For that is the punishment for breaking the mercantile law is death. Oh yes. And in French law, you are guilty until proven innocent. And we have 3 court systems here in Louisburg. And if you wish to bring a lawyer with you, it will only slow down these procedures. The judges, their decision is made even before you stand in front of them, especially if you are not of noble stature.
The building in front of us now is called the King's Bastion. This is taken from the top of the King's Bastion, sweeping from right to left, across a good part of the settlement.
Bonjour. For those interested, a soldier like myself, and by the name of Sans Regret, will discuss. Regret. I was recruited from the prison of France by an officer that promised me certain things if I came with him in Louisburg as a soldier. Said we'll pay you some good money, we'll give you a place to stay every night, we'll give you some food every day, and we'll give you lots of girls. So I said, hey, what the hell? I got nothing to lose, I'll try his little plan. Well, he says we'll pay you 9 livres a month, we'll give you a place to stay, food every day. You got a choice of a 6-year contract or life. So I decided to go for the 6-year contract. I put my ex on the 6 years and we were gone for Louisburg. When we got here in Louisburg, they gave me a military name, Sans Regret. They gave me a uniform, the Compagnie Franche de Marine. They trained me a little bit, and they said, you're a soldier. But this story had changed in the 6-7 weeks we had left for France. And the 9 livres a month went down to 1.5 livres. Killed the individual that you hit, the black powder, the infection would get in, and it was a very, very cruel weapon. and then the sword. The sword would be given to the soldier because the governor didn't have any police in town, so he would give the sword to the soldiers so we could go in town and be important, so we could do the policing. The last thing is our musket. It's a 1734 Grenadier tool musket. The way they operate, there's a little pan here and a little touch hole, a little hole in the pan. So you put you tear your cartridge apart, and you put a little bit of powder in there, and then you close your prison. That will keep it dry and keep it in the pan. Then you take the rest of your cartridge, you put it down the barrel, and you ram her down. And this is a flint. Whenever the flint hits the prison, we'll push it ahead to create a spark, to light up your pan, to go into your touch hole, and make the charge go off. So there's a split-second hesitation, and you've heard the expression flash in the pan. That's when your pan lights up, but not your main charge. There's various reasons why your musket will not operate. If your flint is not sharp enough, if your hole is plugged, if your powder's damp, if the wind takes away your spark and it doesn't go in your pan, or you're just like me, unlucky sometimes it doesn't operate. Cartridge, and at the time there would have been a lead ball in the bottom, but now there's just a black powder. Okay? So you tear the cartridge apart, put the powder.
Okay, meet you down there.
The rest of the barrel is in the barrel. There you go.
You can see it. Can you see, Pete?
So now she's ready to fire. I'll count 1, 2, 3, and fire. 1, 2, 3. Must be my lucky day. So in 7 or 8 minutes, that's how a soldier got to be here in Louisburg. His uniform, his work, his musket. Any questions?
Qu'est-ce que tu viens de faire, yo? Combien de cartouches? Tirez-la avec les dents. Avancez. Et fermez-la, tiens. Ensuite, celui-ci applaudit derrière la feuille. Mettez la pose dans le canon. Tirez la baguette. Monte la baguette. Tire la baguette. Mettez la baguette sous le canon. Bourrez. Tirez la baguette. Monte la baguette. Tire la baguette. Remettez la baguette dans le soyeux. Dans les moutards, en joue, après les moutards, tire! Après les moutards, on va te laisser à dans le pot, tout c'est la citerne.
This is inside a home in Lewisburg. This is up in the attic over the house, above the kitchen. Those are furs hanging to dry. This is in the governor's residence.
This is the entrance to the Citadel, which is a big fort on the outskirts of Halifax.
These rifles are .577 caliber, very large. In fact, the officers in India used to hunt elephants with these rifles. The rifle also, it's called a rifle. That means it has rifling down the barrel. These are grooves spiraling all the way down the barrel. These improve the accuracy and the range of the weapon. This is because if you fire a round shot down a smooth barrel, it will bounce around inside. The shot is always a little bit smaller than the barrel. So you can see the men are all lined up and fire in advance in formation. If one man were to fall, the line would simply close up to the right. This is where you get to turn the thin red line. The British Army and their techniques.
To next side with perfect front rear end standing.
Now they're loading their rifles. See how quickly they can load them. Squad volleys. Two volleys, two refresh. Now they're going to fire on their own. It's like firing at Jackson always hits his target.
This is an interior 180-degree panorama shot of the Citadel, Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is the view from one of the cannon emplacements at the Citadel, looking out on Halifax Harbor.